Mary, what's going on with Emma Roberts, Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story, all sorts of stuff?
A new season of American Horror Story has just released with Kim Kardashian in it. It's called Delicate, but at the same time, a public scandal has come about because Angelica Ross, who was on the season American Horror Story 1984 with Emma Roberts, she has just made shots at Ryan Murphy, the showrunner, and Emma Roberts, who has starred in, I think, 6 seasons of the show so far.
Yeah.
She really just total. Like doesn't want to take other jobs.
It's good. If it's good money and they keep you coming back, keep doing your job.
So Angelica Ross, who is a trans actor, has accused Emma Roberts of being transphobic, making a specific transphobic comment on set when they were working together. It's a toxic workplace allegation.
Mean too.
Many such cases these days. Do you want to just play her Instagram live? It's very messy. There's really no sense of decorum and professionalism anymore. You could just go on Instagram live in your bathrobe and trash people you've worked with and post your private email screenshots and no repercussions. You're praised for it.
I want to say, like, the number one thing that I get out of all these types of claims is, like, it used to be a thing where it was a virtue to have to be a professional and be like, to have this discussion in private, not make it public.
Yeah.
But that will never happen because there's too much social cachet.
So she's posting this, and all the comments are like, "Yes, queen, spill the tea."
Yeah. Here we go. Let's watch this clip. The one from the bathroom.
I think so.
This one.
I'm standing in front of Emma, talking to her like this, and
they blurred out the chat because there are people like literally inciting her to beat up Emma Roberts in the chat.
Oh, good.
She goes, "John, Angelica's being mean," and he goes, and I know she's being, she's not being for real. She's just being whatever, and John is like, "Okay, ladies, that's enough. Let's, get back to work," and she then looks at me and she goes, "Don't you mean lady?" And she turns around like this.
It sounds fake.
Covering half her face.
Emma Roberts is just evil.
But it's funny because I know that's something Emma Roberts would do.
I also would just wonder, like, maybe I'm being naive, but I would ask the question, like, could she just have been, like, making a joke that only one of them was being ladylike?
Maybe.
Like,
possibly. Or we could go with the way more entertaining explanation,
which is that she's just super
Emma
bigoted.
Roberts is a raging transphobe.
Here we go. Let's finish this video.
Emma Roberts is...
And I'm standing there looking.
Let's recap because I think people. So what happened was they were standing on set waiting for another take, and the director had to come up to them and say, "Ladies, let's get set."
No, they were like playfully arguing. Their co-star John Carroll Lynch comes over and he is jokingly saying, "Okay, ladies, break it up." And Emma Roberts is like, "Don't you mean lady?"
And that is because Angelica Ross is trans.
And Emma Roberts is saying, "Because I'm a woman and you're not a real woman because you're trans." That's what she's accusing Emma Roberts
the idea
of.
I'm just trying to see the best in everyone.
The idea that somebody would do that in modern day Hollywood is patently insane.
Someone like Angelica
I would be pretty
Ross,
shocked if
she's not the one giving charitable interpretations.
Like they're saying like brave Emma for this. Like I don't buy for a second that she's like, I'm sorry, but the idea that somebody in modern Hollywood would do this is insane.
It is a pretty.
You're asking for the end of your career.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's true, she has literally zero fear.
Yeah.
But there's no proof that anything happened either.
I don't know if I buy that.
And this was back in 2018. Like, I don't know. Maybe the culture was different. Maybe she thought that was funny.
Her dead ass in the damn thing, and I'm like, trying to process the fuck she just said.
The trauma.
And I'm like, I'm standing there and she walked away. My blood is boiling. Because I'm like,
all right, cut the cameras for real.
If I say
the rest of it is just like, I was so indignant.
She was very angry.
But she says, I didn't go to report her to HR or whatever because somebody else had crossed her before and they got repercussions for doing so. So she's claiming Emma Roberts, she's first on the call sheet, she's the star, she throws her weight around in a very obnoxious way. and she was in charge on that set. It was like the same thing. You couldn't come forward with the allegations because you feared what would happen to you.
It's possible that in 2018 it wasn't. The climate might have still been a little bit different, and she might have been willing to make that joke. I don't buy that she was doing it to just be mean, but I could be completely wrong about that.
Well, later on, she's like, "Hey, Angelica, why aren't you talking to me anymore?" So she doesn't realize that anything happened.
Well, yeah, it's because what you have to learn in a lot of these cases, like, you have to have thick skin to work in that industry, to work in any of these industries. And what it does is when you are like, let's take her at face value and say that Emma Roberts did this, right? That this actually happened. Fine. Okay.
I'm like,
okay.
Base.
Okay, fine. So it happened. Then by not going to a producer and talking about this, you're not in any way helping yourself, because decorum would dictate that, look, it sucks to have stuff like this happen to you, but you're sabotaging your own chance of getting work in the future, because if you look overly fragile, you're going to look like somebody who's just not worth bringing onto set, because it's going to be problematic to have you there, because you're going to find something to complain about. Even if you have 110% valid reason, because we all know that stars of shows can be entitled and awful. Absolutely plausible. But part of playing the game is that you sometimes are going to just have to accept that your best bet is to complain to the people in charge. And if they don't do anything about it, you should move on with your career. And if you're going to complain about it, maybe don't do it a day before the new season comes out, so it feels unbelievably opportunistic.
I don't think that being difficult to work with is really treated the same way it used to be in Hollywood. Being difficult to work with is almost like something you get celebrated for at a certain point.
Well, one of the things that they complain about that is, like, they say when men are difficult to work with, it's celebrated. When women are difficult to work with, it's not.
Yeah.
So what if you're trans and you're difficult to work with?
You're just kind of difficult to work with.
And yeah, Angelica Ross has a history of doing this. Did an interview a while back about working on the set of Claws. It's a crime show about nail techs. I don't know.
Sounds great.
What?
She played a former exotic dancer in the show, and basically accused them on set of being transphobic because they didn't provide protective undergarments during a nude scene for tucking purposes.
So she was giving a lap dance.
Basically, this was a scene where she's hovered over some guy and then flips off of him. And, quote, "It was one of the hardest things for me to do because I was pre-op. These garments aren't made for trans people." Ross tells the outlet she never received a nudity garment, which is often used in TV sex scenes, and her experiences on set didn't make her feel affirmed.
Okay, I need to ask the question. What do you think logically that actually means? Like, that's a real question. I want to know what, judging by their own definition of these words, what does it mean to feel affirmed?
It means, in order to feel affirmed, then you need to tuck your penis up into your butt. That's what that means.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, why are we entertaining this insanity anymore?
And the thing is, it'll never be enough when you take these characters and you make these things based on and judge things based on emotions rather than on just who can do the job the best, right? Like, anytime they hire someone who is known of any race, gender, sexuality, identity, anybody that's going to be known to come out and blatantly dunk on what's going on a show that they were a part of, you're going to be seen as high risk because nobody wants to invite that into their next production.
But increasingly, because Angelica Ross is fitting into this like trans WOC category, you're gonna get roles anyway because it's representation.
Yeah, well, oh, go ahead.
I'm just wondering why, as an actor, you would go out for a role as like an exotic dancer who has to wear the bare minimum clothing.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable doing it.
If you're not comfortable doing it, exactly. Like, it's Hollywood. You're an actor. You're going to be asked to do stuff that might be a little less than comfortable. You got to be aware of that going into it. Like, I can't give a ton of details, but I once had a producer put on a ton of lipstick and kiss me all over the face for a role. So.
Okay. I want more details.
I can give them to you off camera.
Okay.
I really do think that one of the highest signs of privilege in the culture now is to be able to take we haven't even gotten to the and also the Ryan Murphy stuff.
So she's also taken shots at Ryan Murphy, the showrunner for American Horror Story, because back in 2020, in the Summer of Love, he got all fired up about being an anti-racist and a good white guy. And he had this genius idea to do an American Horror Story season starring all black women. And he emailed Angelica Ross the following: "Remember your idea about a horror season starring black women? Well, I'm doing it. Not sure of the story yet, but we will start a writer's room in the fall. Along with you, who are the 4 women I should get? I think you, Keke Palmer, Gabby, not sure of the 4th. So in any professional email, I don't think you should start it with yes in all caps.
Yeah.
But that is what Angelica typed. Giving a lot of suggestions, a long list of casting suggestions. And then Ryan Murphy ghosted. He had nothing else to say on the topic.
Oof. It's like when you know what it's like? It's like when your friend asks you to hang out on Friday and you're in a good mood and you agree to do it. And then Friday comes around and you're like, ugh, I don't feel like it now.
It's just kind of bad practice to be posting screenshots of private work emails years after the fact just to get back at someone for a perceived slight. Like, the slight is literally that, for whatever reason, probably a totally benign one, he
something
didn't
related
end up
to logistics,
following through on his idea. But she posted this on Twitter along with a quote from this trendy new book that's getting turned into a Hulu series called The Other Black Girl. It says, as Nella considered why she distrusted needles and pins so much, she considered what Jesse said about white people who went out of their way to present diversity. With heightened awareness of cultural sensitivity comes great responsibility. If we're not careful, diversity might become an item people start checking off a list and nothing more.
It's
a shallow,
might become
shadowy
an item
thing with but one dimension. And I think with a lot of celebrities, they're like so close to getting it. They're so close to getting why this whole DEI thing is a total farce.
In a screenwriting class in the year 2020 AD, I had a professor tell me that if I wanted my script to sell in Hollywood, I had to include people of character, gay characters. I was writing a period piece set in Wales in 1400. You know what there weren't a lot of there?
Yeah.
Africans. Yeah. You know what there are even fewer of? Africans who were particularly concerned with Welsh politics.
We just talked about Mads Mikkelsen and the reporter who was talking about that for a Danish period piece that they made, and they're like, "There's no diversity in this project," because and they weren't judging him. They were saying like, "Look, does it bother you that this project won't be eligible for a Best Picture Oscar because of the new requirements that have been put in place by the Academy?" And
it should.
Yeah,
like that's it. Yeah. Angelica Ross has hit the nail on the head. Gets the point. Like
almost.
It's yeah. But like it is a checkbox now. That is all it is. They only are casting. If you are an actor of color, there is a solid chance you were only cast to check a box now, rather than you were cast because you were so talented that you had to have the role.
Right.
So it's going to give people that idea of like diversity hires. Even more so now in Hollywood, because now every movie has to have characters that fit these requirements.
And for a lot of I think a lot of them have just accepted that it doesn't bother. Like, I think a lot of people are so they're so in favor of their career. They want to succeed so bad. They've just accepted that they don't care that it's checking a box. That as long as it furthers their career,
a lot of them don't mind being a charity case, when in years past that in a different culture, being perceived as a victim or a charity case would have felt really degrading for people. And now I think they're just either okay with it or they're proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's really funny. I watch old movies and television shows where people talk about how they don't want to be seen as a victim. I'm like, oh man, the good old days back in all of 2013 or 2014, back when that wasn't as big of a deal. To me, it feels like a certain level of privilege to be able to air out these types of failed business dealings as something positive for you, rather than just something that happened. Like, it's painting this guy in a negative light in a way that he doesn't deserve to be painted, because any number of things could have happened to prevent this from coming forward.
Yeah. As if a white person has never been ghosted by a Hollywood showrunner before.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole stereotype, is that Hollywood is about, finding your ability to accept rejection, right? Because you just get rejected over and over and over, and you're promised things after getting rejected too. Like, oh, we'll have you on for a guest appearance, or, oh, we'll have you do some screenwriting for the show. Promises that people make that they knowingly aren't going to follow through on.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept that. It's not a thing about race. Like, he didn't ghost you because of your race or because he's some kind of like fake activist. I mean, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was pitching that idea for like, social brownie points.
It just seems like a really rough business to have to be in. Like, I would never want to have to live in that ecosystem.
For someone this fragile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if you just can't take that you didn't get the role, like, it's not something I would want to have to be a part of. It just sounds really, really awful. And that is, like, a lot of the actors talk about that. It's like, they talk about the same in publishing, right? Like, if you want to work in publishing, if you want to be an author, you're going to have to learn how to deal with rejection. You're going to have to be able to deal with very, very harsh critique of your work. And that's not always easy. It's a very difficult thing to have to do.
Another thing that's getting rehashed right now because people are mentioning Emma Roberts is the fact that she was arrested for domestic violence against Evan Peters when they were dating back in 2013. And there are paparazzi photos after her arrest of him comforting her while she's like crying about getting arrested for domestic violence. He's like, I'm sorry you felt you had to hit me. Yeah, and then it was like posted on aesthetic accounts. It's like,
was it like that,
a meme now? That
it was a misunderstood call?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was like charged with that.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking back on my own life experiences, yeah, I can see that.
From Evan Peters' perspective?
Yep. I'm like, you know what?
I can fix
Not
it.
out of the realm of possibility.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.